The containment chamber hummed with electromagnetic barriers as Finn approached, data pad clutched in his sweating palm. Through the reinforced viewport, he could see her. Rhea, they called her, though he doubted that was her real name. She sat in the corner of the sterile white cell, her luminescent skin shifting between shades of violet and deep blue, her 4 eyes tracking his every movement with unsettling intelligence. "You're the 5th handler this month," Director Chen's voice crackled through his earpiece. "The others couldn't manage her aggression. We need results, Finn, or she's being shipped to the Military Research Division on Europa." Finn swallowed hard. He'd seen the reports from Europa. Nothing that went there ever came back. "I understand, Director," he replied, pressing his palm against the entry scanner. The airlock hissed open. Rhea's head snapped toward him as he entered, her crest of crystalline spines flaring outward in what the xenobiologists had classified as a threat display. She was massive, nearly 7 feet tall even in her crouched position, with limbs that seemed too long and jointed in too many places. The Galactic Council had found her species on a dying world in the Kepler system, feral and supposedly uncivilized. Humanity's first major contact with truly alien life, and the Council had dumped the training problem on Earth's lap. "Hey there," Finn said softly, keeping his hands visible and open. "I'm Finn. I'm not here to hurt you." Rhea's quad vocal cords produced a sound like shattering glass mixed with a deep purr. Her universal translator implant, the one they'd forcibly installed, remained silent. The previous handlers had assumed she was too primitive to use it. Finn didn't think she was primitive at all. He thought she was choosing silence. He sat down on the floor 20 feet away and unpacked his lunch. A sandwich, some fruit, water. He ate slowly, deliberately, never looking directly at her. In his years working with Earth's most difficult animals, wolves, big cats, raptors, he'd learned that sometimes the most important thing was to simply exist alongside another being without demands. Minutes passed, then an hour. "You're wasting time," Director Chen snapped through the earpiece. Finn reached up and switched it off. Rhea's skin rippled, shifting to a curious shade of teal. She moved, not toward him, but parallel, circling at a distance. Finn continued eating, occasionally humming a tuneless melody his grandmother used to sing. On the 3rd day, Rhea spoke. "You are different from the others." Her voice through the translator was melodic, sophisticated, nothing like the snarls and hisses she'd given everyone else. Finn looked up, careful to keep his posture relaxed. "How so?" "You do not force. You do not demand. You do not fear in the way that makes creatures cruel." Her 4 eyes blinked in sequence, a gesture he was beginning to recognize as thoughtful. "You treat me as if I am real." "You are real," Finn said simply. Rhea moved closer, close enough that he could see the intricate patterns that swirled beneath her translucent skin like living tattoos. "The others called me wild, savage, animal." "The others were idiots," Finn replied, earning what might have been a laugh, a sound like wind chimes in a storm. Over the following weeks, something extraordinary happened. Rhea began to teach Finn about her people, the Vel-Sha, about their sophisticated society built on principles of voluntary bonds rather than hierarchy, about the plague that had devastated their world before the Council's rescue ships arrived. She had never been wild. She had been grieving, traumatized, and caged like a beast. "Why me?" Finn asked one evening as they sat together, sharing the meal he'd brought. "Why talk to me and not the others?" Rhea's skin flushed deep crimson, a color he'd never seen before. "Among my people there is a concept, HFY. It means one who sees the soul. It is rare, precious. When we find such a one, we mark them." "Mark them?" Before Finn could react, Ria's hand, three-fingered and elegant despite its alienness, touched his forearm. Where her skin met his, luminescent patterns transferred, sinking into his flesh like living ink. They didn't hurt. They felt warm, right, like coming home. What did you just do? Ria's eyes met his, all four of them glowing softly. I claimed you as Keshmar, my mate bond, my chosen one. In my culture, we do not ask permission for this. We know when we know, and the marking makes it real. She tilted her head. Are you angry? Finn stared at the glowing patterns now spiraling up his arm, beautiful and strange and permanent. He should have been terrified. The xenobiology team would lose their minds. Director Chen would probably have him quarantined and studied, but all he felt was an overwhelming sense of certainty, of rightness. No, he said quietly. I'm not angry. Good. Ria's skin rippled through a dozen colors, what he now recognized as joy. Because Keshmar bonds are eternal, you are mine now as I am yours. And among the Velshah, to harm one of a bonded pair is to declare war on the entire species. Finn laughed, the sound slightly hysterical. So what you're saying is, they can't ship either of us to Europa now? They cannot ship us anywhere we do not wish to go, Ria corrected, her vocal cords producing a distinctly smug tone. And I wish to go home, to help rebuild my world. With you. The chamber door burst open. Director Chen stood there, flanked by security, staring at Finn's marked arm in horror. What have you done? She breathed. Finn stood, and Ria rose beside him, her hand finding his. Together they stood 7.5 feet of united front. I trained her, Finn said calmly, just like you asked. She's perfectly civilized, perfectly controlled. He smiled. She's just decided that I'm hers now, and honestly, Director, I'm completely fine with that. Ria's crest flared, not in threat, but in triumph. And you should know, she added, her voice carrying the weight of ancient authority, that my people's fleet has been searching for survivors. They arrive in this system in 3 days. I suggest you prepare a very good explanation for how you've been treating me. Director Chen's face went pale. Finn squeezed Ria's hand, his mate's hand, and allowed himself a small, satisfied smile. They'd forced him to train the wild alien. Instead, she'd freed them both. The end.